This one annoyed me. It said, is it worth offering a higher co-payout for a limited time if a property I'm listing is overpriced and below average condition? Normal co-payout around here is about 2.5%. The seller won't budge on the price after I showed comps and details. So I'm going to offer 3% if sold by a certain date. I need bragging rights for having the first listing on my team for 2023. Welcome to season 2 of the Real Estate Replay. This season, we're opening up the co-host chair to agents, lenders, and other professionals across the country. These handpicked co-hosts will help us dissect stories told by sellers and buyers and help point out the good, the bad, the unethical, or perhaps illegal things that they experienced. We'll learn what to look for, what to avoid, and how to not get screwed when selling or buying. I have come across multiple times conversations on real estate agent boards about private remarks in the MLS in regards to commissions. So one was full commission will be paid if sold at asking price only. If sold less, commission will be at 2%. And then I found another one that said, this one annoyed me. It said, is it worth offering a higher co-payout for a limited time if a property I'm listing is overpriced and below average condition? Normal co-payout around here is about 2.5%. The seller won't budge on the price after I showed comps and details. So I'm going to offer 3% if sold by a certain date. I need bragging rights for having the first listing on my team for 2023. So I get it from a seller's standpoint, right? You want to sell your home fast and for as much money. The problem I have with this stuff, and it's not just these two examples, there's like incentives that Opendoor gives agents. If you sell them, if you have their client give them so many homes, right? Every, I think 5 homes, you get an extra $5,000. Incentives that should be disclosed to you, but they're in the private remarks or they're in somewhere where I can't see it as a buyer. And, I think that is unfair for consumers. And so to help me understand this, I brought back the original co-hoster. I feel like I need to play that Reunited song because I never get to talk to you anymore. But I know you've sent me some. I know you have seen these before. So I wanted to get your thoughts on this. Like, how, as a buyer, do you know if this is happening? Is it fair? And what do you do?
You have to know to ask. It's better. I will have to say it's better than it has been in years past. But I still see it in the private remarks. I still get emails from agents that have a listing that's maybe not selling, saying that we'll offer you 4% if you bring a buyer. I see it with new builds offering incentives, and for your second, your third home with that builder, you're going to get paid more, or maybe they have a $10,000 incentive. And you just, as a buyer, you just have to know the questions to ask. Mm-hmm. It's a little bit of a kind of a two-edged sword. I think we were talking about this earlier. I think this is one of the things that people like Michael and Bill Wendell talk about, who are disruptors in the real estate industry. But, the problem is you've got a seller selling a house. They're offering compensation to whoever brings the buyer. And so, of course, they want to, if they've listed their house at $500,000, they're willing to pay a 3% or $15,000 fee to the buyer bringing the buyer's agent. But of course, they don't want to pay the buyer's agent to bring a $450,000 offer. Mm-hmm. So from that standpoint, I can understand a seller going, yeah, it's 3% if you bring a buyer paying $500,000, and maybe it's 2% if it's bringing. But as the buyer needs to be aware of that and not pay $500,000 if the house isn't worth $500,000.
Right. And when we say private remarks, I should mention, so on the MLS, over the past maybe 2 years, you maybe start to see buyer compensation mentioned on the listing profile. Actually, the Consumer Federation of America just did a study about this, and Redfin was the only platform that consistently and prominently showed what commission was being offered to the buyer's agent on a property. Yeah. Zillow and Realtor.com failed majority of the time, or they would hide it way down on the bottom. And so, we're making steps for consumers to know if, flags they should be looking for if they feel like maybe they're getting steered. If every property that my agent's sending me is the same high percent in, I'm not being shown this home because it's 2%, it helps you to be aware of that. But private remarks aren't ever shown on the public facing side of the MLS. So that's what, when we talk about that, that's what it means for those that don't know. And that's where a lot of these comments are hidden. So like, what does a buyer say? Like, do you just ask like, hey, are there any incentives for you? Or
are there any incentives? What is said? What is, and it's helpful just to even know what is being said in the private remarks of that listing. It may not even do with compensation, but what else does it say? But yeah, just ask them, are there any extra incentives, or what is the buyer agent commission on this? It's helpful to know. If the buyer agent commission is 2.5%, that's helpful to know, because if this agent's been working with me and I'm buying a $300,000 house, and this is the third weekend that I've shown with them, they are getting underpaid. And then, so it's just asking that question and finding that out, especially if you're buying a new build. I will say this out loud. If a new build is offering a $10,000 bonus or an extra 1% or whatever it is, I don't see that as my commission. I see that as something I can give back as a bonus to my buyer.
Right.
In either applying it towards closing costs or getting the builder to, add some kind of upgrade. That is not, first of all, working with the builder is easier as an agent. There's a lot of reasons you need to work with an agent when you're buying a new build, like a lot of reasons, but it's still easier as an agent because they're usually closing at a certain title company. They're taking care of paperwork. They're writing the contract. We do it. I always do a pre-inspection or do an inspection when you're doing a new build and get it inspected. And don't assume just because it's a new home, nothing's wrong with it and everything's working like it should. You should probably do a sewer test. It's a brand new neighborhood, brand new sewer test, right?
We had friends who built a new construction, and they got an inspection, but they didn't check the sewer. And within like a week of closing, their whole basement backed up because somebody on site flushed cement down somewhere within the lines.
Yeah.
And it had to be completely hammerjacked and cleaned out. And,
oh, wow.
But how do you know if no one's
And here's the thing. I've never seen that said in a class to do that, to have that done. 5 years ago, I would have never known. I did know to have an inspection, but I would have never thought to do a sewer test.
Right.
I know this really honestly because of Roger Wakefield, if you know him, because that's what he talks about. And I mean, in all his YouTube videos, and he's a friend of mine, is why you need to do it.
I think that's important too. I think that from what agents have told me is that new construction, especially over the past 3 or 4 years, you have to pay a little more attention to quality and how things were built. Obviously not every builder, but you probably need to be a little more aware than
there's
you normally would be.
I'm in a neighborhood. It's an old neighborhood and a lot of homes in our area is protected, but there are a lot of homes really several streets down where they're tearing down houses and they're building these kind of monstrosity. They're actually beautiful homes, but the motto is build them deep, steep, and cheap.
Yep. Yeah.
And they look lovely. I mean, they are lovely. And in the inside, they're lovely, but the quality, if you understand quality and how to judge quality, it is not there, especially compared to these homes. My home's been here for 100 years. Yeah.
Right.
Those homes are not going to hold up over 100 years.
Right. I think one more thing on new construction, because we're totally off subject of incentives, but if you are going to use a real estate agent, like you need to bring them with you before you ever give the builder your information, before you step foot into that office, because they will not compensate your agent if they think that your agent didn't bring you to them. So if you already met with the builder and toured a site and then think you want to have an agent with you, it's going to be tough. So if you're going to use one, you need to bring one with you from the very beginning.
Yeah, you absolutely do. And really, again, you want an agent with a new build. Now, I would say this, if you're only looking for new builds and you're doing all the legwork, find an agent, negotiate up front. Look, I'm doing all the legwork. I'm checking out these builds. I'm going to the model homes and I'm doing this. Would you be willing to put 1% of your commission towards the closing costs? Because I'm doing the legwork.
Right.
Now, don't do that if you're also looking at resale homes and you're using their time on the weekends and in the evenings, and you're going to see all these other homes in other parts of the city. They've earned their 3%. I guarantee you they're going to save you more then you would save by negotiating that commission. But just know when to negotiate and when not to negotiate. If you're doing the work, then you should benefit from some of that commission that's being paid by the builder.
I when I bring up rebates on social, I get hammered by agents. And I keep having to repeat myself. Listen, it might not be for every circumstance, but there are times where I think it's fair. And this is one of them. Like when we built a home, we didn't look at homes. Like we weren't even really looking. I just happened to go on like a open house tour with my mom and ended up finding something. And so we didn't say anything to our agent because she was our friend and it was probably uncomfortable about rebates, but I know that she did pretty well and really never had to show us a home. She would check in with us, but it's definitely not the same experience as viewing 10 homes and making a bunch of offers and spending all that time. It was very, very different. And in those circumstances, I think it's fair to have that conversation, but have it up front.
Yeah, it is a fair conversation. I can send you an article. Boston Globe actually called me, and I think it was because of I can't remember who it was that gave them my name, but about should you negotiate your buyer agent commission?
Is this the one where you got that really mean voicemail from?
No, that was a different
one. Okay.
I know I tend to stay in trouble with agents, but there are a lot of great agents. And if you would look at it as a fee for service, again, when you think about the commissions, and I might work 40 hours selling a home and make $10,000, but maybe the commission's 15, but I'm complaining because I only made $10,000. There's a lot of people that don't make $10,000 in a month.
Right.
The problem is that an agent may not make money the next month, or that may be the only house they sell that month. And then the fees, the cost. I mean, let's be real. The cost, you're not really making $10,000. Right. You're having to pay you're self-employed. You're paying your self-employment taxes and just the expense. Plus you've got your gas and that's not, company's not reimbursing that.
And if you're new, you're paying your broker probably
you're paying the broker, so they're getting a percentage of that. So there is all of that. But that's part of the problem. This is why the buyer's agent is still stuck. I mean, the seller's agent is still stuck paying 3%, and 3% on a $2 million house is a lot different than 3% on a $200,000 house. We have 3 million agents in the US. We have 1.6 million members of NAR. We have 400,000 houses for sale nationwide. Right. Do the math and you begin to see, you have to make up for it somewhere. I actually had a client the other day compensate me additional because of the job I had done. And I actually, I had gone above and beyond. So he was paying me extra for services that were more like destination services, but which are apart from the real estate transaction. But I really wish we had more of a model like that was more of a fee for service based on the services that were provided, right? Some sellers need a lot of service. Some sellers have already prepared their home. They're perfect. They're beautiful. I just have got a great marketing opportunity to have my sign in the yard with their pictures on my website saying, I listed this house. I had
right. And it's sold in a day, right? It's sold so quickly.
Right. So why should that seller be paying more to sell their house with me than the seller that needed me to say, okay, we need to do this to get it prepared and presented right. Right. Same thing with the buyer. Right. I may have a buyer for a $500,000 house. One finds it, calls me up. All I need to do is negotiate the contract. Another one I've spent 3 weekends with. I think the buyer that found it, that just needs me to write a contract, needs to benefit from that 3% fee.
And that's the other thing I got pushback on was I said, what if your client, you show them 2 homes and they have an offer accepted and, the time spent with them. And the immediate pushback is, well, that happened because I'm really good at my job. And I'm like, well, to a degree, like you might have a good reputation, but like you don't have any control over the fact that your client had the best offer because they're putting 20% down. And because they have great contingencies or because they will let you stay in the home for an extra month.
Or they did the legwork.
Right.
Like with my clients, in fact, I had a client last night call me and she'd already gone and driven by the homes that I'd sent her. Okay. Like they go and do the legwork. And she called me and she goes, those are great homes. She goes, but we don't like because of this or because of this. Like, so she's not calling me up now to go show her those homes this weekend.
Right. She did the work. Yeah.
Right. No, I showed her a home last weekend because they had driven by it. They loved it. So we have a structure in play that will, first of all, it incentivizes her because I am doing a fee for service. Mm-hmm. to keep working with me,
Right.
to not use that nice, sweet agent they meet at the open house who is, they like her, right?
Right.
And nothing wrong with that. And actually, if they call me up and said, you know what, we really want to work with this agent, we'll do that. But I am going to get compensated for the time that I've used. And unfortunately, agents, so many times, I don't know about a word to use for this, prostitute their time. Or maybe it's the opposite. They don't charge for it.
They don't charge. Right.
You need to be charging for your time. But there's a problem in the industry. I cannot get paid apart from the commission and apart from the closing. So only a broker can. And that's, and so that's part of the problem. And so the chances of getting that agent that they fell in love with, that they want to use to pay me a referral fee to compensate me for my time, it's just not realistic. It's probably just not going to happen. Probably because most cases you're not ever going to know that the agent's ghosted you. I mean, that the client's ghosted you and decided to use another agent.
Right.
And again, that's why agents can't afford to negotiate those fees, because we work for free. Carl Slade says it best, talks about, the reason it's done the way it's done is because agents work for free so often. They overcharge to make up for the times that they're underpaid. That was the article in the CNN I got such just exonerate, just that awful email, that voicemail.
Yeah, the voicemail. Yeah, my favorite.
Was because I had said agents are overpaid to make up for the times they're underpaid, but CNN left out the part about being underpaid.
Of course.
Right. They just talked about me saying that agents were overpaid.
Right.
So read between the headlines. And but that is a problem. And I get it. It's a hard business. And it's especially a hard business because honestly, the industry is not protecting real estate agents. I mean, I should get brave and have agents sign a petition against NAR from bringing on more agents. We don't having them vetted or not requiring agents to do a full year internship where they are never, an apprenticeship. They require it for appraisers. They require it for inspectors, and yet not for real estate agents. On paper it is because you're under the broker, but I was sent on my first listing appointment with nobody there with me. I was left to do it on my own.
Right.
And I was with a big brokerage that claimed, took pride in their training and
their training.
I didn't know what I was doing. I had no idea. I had no business doing it.
Right. And it's funny, we were just talking about this on social the other day. Like the test doesn't really prepare you for the state test, at least. In my state, I think it's like 60 hours you need to pass the test by at least 75%. And the test doesn't really prepare you for actually buying and selling. It prepares you to not get sued, essentially, is how it was explained to me. I haven't taken it, so I can't say for sure.
No, you should take it.
Yeah.
60 hours. That's a heck of a lot better than it's 180 here.
Really? I think Stephen Brobeck was doing research on the different states and how they're all different. They all require different hours. I had an agent who lived in Denver who had some more stricter requirements, and she moved to Georgia, and they only required her to do something very minimal. So a whole different state, a whole different set of rules, very minimal anything. And they were like, go ahead, you're good. Yeah. And she's like, well, I don't know anything about this state, the taxes, there's so much.
Yeah. And so many of the classes are geared towards lead generation. I think you may have seen a post that I did the other day by somebody very well known in the industry. And he said the number one job of the real estate agent is to generate leads. It's knowing how to market yourself.
Not to go back to it, but I did find the Opendoor thing. So you get 100 points every time that you get your client to sell their home to Opendoor. 1 to 4 homes, you get 1% commission of the home. When you hit your 5th home, you get 1% plus $5,000. Your 6th to 9th home, you get 1% plus $1,000 each time. When you hit your 10th home, you get 1% plus another $5,000. And I know 1% sounds smaller, but you're really, it's negotiating and it's handing your home off to them. So anyway, but that kind of stuff, you should know before you're signing paperwork, right?
And I don't understand Opendoor. I'm going to have to say, I don't understand their model or anything, because I go to these homes, I see these homes, and they are typically on the market far longer than other homes.
Priced rather high.
Show well. Especially, and when a home's been on the market that long, when a home's been on the market 90 days vacant, things go wrong. Like just systems fail. Like you need somebody living in a house in order for just having the toilets flushed every day, having water running through the pipes,
Right.
Having the HVAC units running. I mean,
Yes.
you just have problems when you don't have somebody living in it. I don't want to buy a home that's been vacant for 90 days.
Right. And they seem, just from what I can gather from commentary from buyers who post about it online, is they're not very open to negotiating much, even though the home is overpriced. They'd rather sit on it and wait than have to give that up.
Yeah, and I wonder if there's some kind of tax write-offs they're taking, if there's, incentives that because they're a corporation, and now they own the home, so it's their home, so they're able to take tax write-offs and things like that compensate for whatever home that I don't know. I mean, that would be something that somebody smarter than me needs to ask. But what is it that's why I said their business model makes no sense to me.
Yeah, I don't.
So I'm going to guess like in Tampa, they're taking some really big tax write-offs for inventory that's not moving.
Yeah, I remember in Tampa, I would randomly pull one of the counties. Like I did it 3 times this past year to see like what did they buy it for? What did they try to sell it for? And it was like at least a $60,000 on average difference of what they were trying to sell it for. Yeah. And then you'd go on and look at the pictures and you're like, this kitchen looks exactly the same as when it was like originally sold to them. Yeah. And then you look on the back end, and then of those properties they bought over 20, it was like high 25, 27% were sold to investors, with a portion of those being sold off market. Yeah. So that's what I wonder is, all these homes they're sitting on, how many are going to be going to an investor off market? Look at us, we're so off track. Okay.
I know. Sorry.
No, that's okay. No, I find it all fascinating. All right. So how do you as a buyer protect yourself to make sure that there's no additional incentives, whether it's buying a new home, selling to Opendoor, buying off of Opendoor? Because I know an agent had sent me an example from OfferPad, who was offering a commission for the buyer's agent plus $3,000 if they could get someone to buy the home. So how do you find out about this?
You ask, and you're going to have to trust the agent to be upfront. Ask them. I always print off the buy. When I print off a listing, I can print off one for the agent's view, and I can print off one for the buyer's view. And I always print off the one for the buyer's view for the buyer. And I always have the one for me, but I'll show the fine print in my listing printout. So ask them, if they've got a printout, ask them to see theirs. Trust them, but ask them if there's incentive. Ask them to see the private remarks in the MLS from the seller. Ask them what documents are included in the, there's usually a transaction section that, again, you can't access, but it's a file where documents are. Usually they'll have the seller's disclosure there, any other disclosures and stuff in there, but find out what other documents are in that. Also find out what commission split they're on. Where did you find this agent? Did you push the Zillow button?
Yep.
You just gave away 35%, 25%.
Right. Do you know what I heard working? That Realtor.com is doing now is they have 3 buckets now. So there's the referral fee of up to 38% is one bucket. Then there's the monthly fee, which seems to be smaller markets, which is a couple $100, but you get shared leads with everybody. Right. And then they started to roll out to one broker in a city that if you pay, this one person told me they pay $20,000 a month, and they're supposed to get first dibs on all the leads in one zone. So so Realtor.com is picking who is going to become the top brokerage in town. Correct. Or stay the top brokerage in town. Right. Who has the most money? And that's a whole nother, and that's a whole nother segment we need to do is to talk about that and to understand, again, what is your agent getting paid? And what's interesting too, this is a whole other subject, but these platforms show you agent statistics of who they're going to connect you with. And the ones that we have tested, it's the team lead. So they show you the leader of this team, and they have 12 years experience, but you're not going to work with the team lead's not going to deal with a scenario where they're making 35% less. No. So you end up at the bottom of the newer team members who might be fine, but that's not the matching experience that you're advertised. It's very different.
Yeah. When I first went to work, there was an agent in my office that took Zillow leads, and she just handed them off to me. Not knowing any better, I was running all over the city, all over the state. Sometimes it felt like following up with these leads, showing these things and stuff. And she, wouldn't even, I don't even think she compensated me at that time. I was just, I was wanting to learn, and she was a brilliant real estate agent.
That's fun. All right. We have plenty of other stories we can do next time. I'm glad we got to do this because it's been a while.
To edit. Sorry. Yeah.
No, you're fine. And I found replacements for you for season 2, but it's just not the same. Have a story you think would help future sellers and buyers, or have a question about how everything works? Reach out to us at realestateforconsumers.com.